Hello, hello. Welcome to Mindful Chatting. I'm Kristin. And if you're new here, I'm also a therapist. But I'm going to start sharing with you another part of my life that I don't really talk about too much. I'm also a doctoral student, and I've been in my program for a little bit over 3 years, and I got 2 more years to go. But guess what I also am? I'm also a researcher. And like many of you, I was also someone who didn't really recognize the impact of ADHD, especially when it was having on my life, until much later than I wish I had. But this summer, I'm opening a deeper window into my world by sharing the heart of my dissertation research with you. We'll talk about ADHD, yes, but not in the way you've always heard. This summer series is about what ADHD feels like in the quiet, unseen spaces, especially for women. This first episode is a soft entry, a pull up a chair kind of moment where I tell you why this study matters, not just academically, but emotionally, personally, and also professionally. So grab your comfort drink. Let's open this up. So, if I'm really being honest, this study didn't really start in my research. It didn't start in supervision or in really a classroom. It actually started years ago when I was sitting in my car after a social event, trying to figure out why I always felt slightly out of sync, like I had said too much, or maybe I just didn't do enough. And over time, that pattern showed up like everywhere in my life. Conversations where I couldn't track the thread, friendships that just kind of slipped away, and relationships that felt more draining than safe. I used to think I was just bad at being a friend, but now I know what I was experiencing was my undiagnosed ADHD. And the women I work with, their stories echo mine. High achieving, organized chaos. Women who keep it together in public, but silently unravel in private. Women who didn't get flagged for ADHD because they were polite, they were quiet, they were good. We talk so much about ADHD and time blindness, executive dysfunction, focus, but we don't talk enough about what it does to your relationships, your ability to connect, to feel seen, to feel like you belong. That's what this study is all about. So, because I had some personal experience when I dived into the research and the literature, I was actually expecting to find something, to find a lot about this subject. I couldn't really be the only one, right? But when I started reviewing the literature, what I found was kind of predictable, but also really frustrating. Did you know that most ADHD research only focuses on elementary aged boys? White boys, to be specific. And they only focus on externalized behaviors, really hyperactivity, on really childhood disruption. There was a huge gap missing in this research. And you want to know what was missing? Women. Girls, but we're getting a little bit better in that research. But also these internalized symptoms, this relationship disconnection, it was just missing. I remember reading a huge Bible of an ADHD book, and there was one small paragraph about social disconnection. And I was like, this just can't be it. And when I talk about these internalized symptoms of what we're going through in this social disconnection, I'm talking about subtle things like zoning out, not tracking conversations, forgetting emotional details that our friends share with us, the people that we care about share with us. This emotional overwhelm that's really mistaken for anxiety or trauma or just being too sensitive. We know from the data that women with ADHD are more likely to experience emotional dysregulation, peer rejection, even when they try really hard to belong, difficulty maintaining long-term friendships, and a chronic sense of disconnection and social burnout. These symptoms we know, we experience, we see, and yet these symptoms are often not documented clinically until they reach really crisis levels, when depression happens, anxiety is overwhelmed, burnout forces them forces these women to go into therapy. This research is here because I want to fill in that missing gap. We need to look sooner than just when we get into crisis mode and throw ourselves into therapy. We also need to listen a whole lot closer. So I took a lot of this and I did what any therapist would do, and I went to my clients, my women in my client caseload that had ADHD, and I wanted to see if they were suffering with this too. I started hearing the same thing from my clients. Women who felt like they could hold space for everyone else, but had no idea how to receive support or maintain connection with themselves. And the word that kept coming up, lonely. That's when I knew this needed to be studied. I needed to go deeper. I need to fill in this gap. So let's zoom out for a second. Most ADHD research focuses on boys. We know this. And most of it centers on behaviors that are loud, external, and destructive. But that's not how it shows up in a lot of women. Women are often the more inattentive type. They're emotionally overloaded, masking constantly. And these symptoms don't raise red flags. They raise expectations. What's also missed is that ADHD doesn't just affect focus or organization. It impacts relationships, all of our relationships. And so my study looks at two symptom types, the inattentive and the hyperactivity, and how they correlate with social disconnection and also loneliness. That's the question guiding this whole project. Do ADHD symptoms predict how connected a woman can feel? And how do ADHD symptoms impact our ability to connect? And does it contribute to loneliness? Because if they do, then we have to stop framing ADHD as just an executive function issue and actually start seeing it as a relational one too. So let's go a little bit deeper. What does this actually feel like from the inside? What does social disconnection look like in real life? It looks like canceling plans because your nervous system is so overloaded. It looks like over-explaining a text because you're terrified of being misunderstood. It looks like being in a group and still feeling like you don't belong there. And if you're a woman with ADHD, you've probably blamed yourself for all of that. That's the part that hurts the most, how we internalize these social struggles as personal failures, not as symptoms of something that was never explained to us. And this podcast series is about breaking that silence. So if you're still with me and you're a woman who feels like they're missing cues in conversations, missing how to belong, missing how to feel in friendships instead of just orbiting around them, for the women that didn't think that they cared about people when actually they cared too much, they just didn't know how to manage energy it took to show up consistently. I'm here for the ADHD women who feel broken because of these social disconnections. If any of this resonates with you and you're a woman between 18 to 40, I want to personally invite you to participate in my research study. It's completely anonymous. It takes just 10 to 15 minutes, and your responses will directly help build better support for women like us. The link is in the show notes, and I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with a friend too. We're just getting started. In the next episode, we're going to talk about what still gets missed in diagnosing ADHD women and how our internalized symptoms often just lead to silence. And this episode hits with you in something tender, just know that's not weakness. That's recognition. You're not broken. You're not alone. And I'm so glad you're here with me in it.